Today, it's our great pleasure to have with us as our guest for the Connecting You series, Mark Morris, who is the Director of Ministerial Services for the Queensland Government Department of Premier and Cabinet. Mark has held leadership roles for the past 22 years, the last 12 in the public service. He's a diversity and inclusion champion, a flexible workday ambassador, and a self-proclaimed coffee snob, such that we have a great deal in common. He's a proud husband of 9 years and a father for 4 years to Lucy, who's 4, and Harvey, who's 1. Mark, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Fay. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
What do you see will be the challenges for employers and leaders in the year to come, arising out of sort of the mental health impacts of this crisis?
I think it's going to be a really interesting 12 months ahead, and I think it's going to be a really challenging 12 months ahead in a lot of ways, and in some ways that we can't even anticipate yet, because new challenges are emerging all the time. Like at the moment we are we're calling it a transition period in terms of our way of working, where restrictions are lifting. Queensland's in a very good position from a society perspective, and so we're about 50% back in the office at the moment, and that's actually creating a few new challenges that we didn't have when everyone was working from home, because now we've got everyone working kind of different schedules. Some people are in the office, some people never still actually see each other face to face because they have different days or whatever. So I think the mental health and well-being aspects are going to be so critical to how we succeed through this process, and people are feeling like they don't have the skills, I think, to manage a virtual or remote team. And yet it's been pretty clear that there will be an element of this that remains in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving from, I suppose, the leadership to your people, what are you doing specifically? What core competencies or values are you trying to build with them to keep them engaged and motivated? I mean, things like resilience or continual improvement, teamwork, agility. Is there anything that you're focusing on in developing in your team in particular at the moment that you may not have been prior to the pandemic?
I watched a webinar on high-performing teams recently, and it was delivered by Gilbert Enoch, the All Blacks mental skills coach. I can't remember, was that our conversation?
I think we did have this conversation. I'm a bit obsessed by this stuff.
And so something that he really stuck with me, and it kind of aligned to what we were doing anyway, but I hadn't thought about it in that way, was he said that, if you're trying to improve your team, 100%, don't try one thing, try 100 things and try to nudge them slightly forward, even if it's only by 1%. And even if 50% of them fail, you'll still nudge your team forward by 50% in terms of its overall net performance. And I think it really struck a chord with me, because I think a lot of the time, especially in the public sector, and I've been around the traps in the public sector, we try not to do too much at once. You know what I mean? We try to do, let's just do one thing, and then we'll wait till we do that, and then we'll do something else. And sometimes those things fail and don't work,
And then you've lost that time.
And then you've lost it. So we are trying to do a lot, but I think because we're taking that humanistic approach and we're checking in with our people regularly, like we've got our weekly bookend meetings within our team. So Mondays and Fridays, how's the week looking? How's the week been? We've got our weekly catch-ups with manager and direct reports. We've got, I have monthly catch-ups with all staff under me, whether they're a direct or indirect report. And then we've got our monthly performance conversations as well, which is slightly new, and we're making performance a really healthy, positive conversation. So performance isn't about, are you performing? I'm going to hit you with a stick if you're not. It's about, okay, how is the performance of this business function going, and what's the objective? What's the smart KPI around that business function. And if it's not performing, how can we work together to get it performing? So that constant, business improvement mindset is, but taking a human approach. So not making it about that someone's failing, but actually that's an opportunity to do things better. So I think that smart KPI, there's a lot in there, because we're doing it in our team. Not every team's doing it. And in talking to other teams, I think it's one of the things that's setting our team apart, because some managers will say, oh, I feel really uncomfortable with my staff working at home because I don't know if they're performing. And I'll say, okay, so if they turn up at 9 a.m. in the office and they leave at 5 p.m. in the office, but they don't actually deliver anything, is that performing? So I think by putting an objective factor in there, that's like, well, we're either meeting the KPI or we're not. But it's how we treat the underperformance or the overperformance of that KPI. So that's something we're doing. And then we're doing other things that make it a little bit more fun as well. So, we have a weekly lemonades, if you catch my drift, catch up on a Friday afternoon with the team, which is virtual. Exactly, which has been great, because, previously, when you're doing it in the office, a lot of people, of course, have to say, oh, I have to get home. I can't do it. What we've found is that the uptake's been pretty good, because people are mostly already at home,
and they can cook while they chat to you and drink their lemonade.
Multitask, that's right. And we do a weekly walking meeting as well, whereby, we try to encourage people to actually go for a walk at the same time in their various parts of the world. And we can all still talk and meet as a team, just, on the phone. So, we're doing a few things.
Fantastic. Just a few. Yeah. So I just want to finish off with a chat about, the archaic views around the take-up of men, that lead to the reduced take-up of men for parental leave and flexible work, and the concept coined flexism that we chatted about at length on Flexible Work Day. I mean, I see you as a role model living loudly. I follow you on socials, as everyone can, and I can see that you are doing your bit personally to try and change that stigma. What do you think we can do as a society to increase the take-up of men for parental leave and flexible work? And what do we need to do to get individual leaders on board with this?
Yeah, look, great question, Fay. I could talk all day about this, but I'm mindful of time. So I'm very, very passionate about making it a change in this space and doing what I can and influencing the people that I can, not trying to take over the world or anything, but if I can influence the people around me, the people that work with me, the people that I engage with through my network and social media, and show them that, it can be done, and then, hopefully that'll give people confidence to try it themselves, and then they'll show that it can be done, and then they'll give other people confidence. And so what I will say though is that it's not easy, like achieving a better way of doing things, while we're still trying to change things and juggle archaic mindsets and archaic ways of working, is not easy. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth doing, and people who are willing to step up and say why, or willing to challenge, or willing to have the tough, respectful, robust conversations, these are the things that need to be done to drive, the change, and I think about all of the tough conversations that I've had over years, and the tough conversations that I will continue to have. And if it means that people can do things that they didn't think were possible, then it's all worthwhile. Like one of the things, as you know, I'm passionate about is not just the gender balance, but also is, supporting leaders who are also parents, because the demands of parenting and the demands of leadership roles often challenge each other, shall we say. But then also, little things like leaving loudly, you know what I mean? So in the office, like, rather than if I'm leaving the office early, 2:30 or something to go and do pickup, rather than sneaking out so no one notices me, be like be prepared to step
Carrying
up
what we
and
call a Penske file and going, I have a very important meeting right now.
yeah, that's right. You know, be prepared to stand up and leave loudly in your teams and say, I'm leaving early
Yeah.
because, you know, my family, or it doesn't even have to be family. It could be
Mm,
my commitment to soccer, or, you know, my guitar lessons, or, you know, my
mm.
sleep. You know,
Yeah, that's
whatever is
right.
important to you
Mm,
is important. And if it's important to that
mm,
person, then, you know, we should be supportive of that.
mm.
So I think, you know, it needs to be front and center and not hidden in
Yeah.
order to show people that it can be done better. And I think as leaders, we have a responsibility to create more leaders, and we have a
Mm,
responsibility not to project our way of working onto others. So
yeah.
just saying that we need to work in a certain way because that's how I like to work,
Mm.
and I'm a leader. Well, personally, that goes against my leadership, my preferred leadership
Fantastic.
model.
An absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Honestly, I could sit here all day and chat. It's certainly much more entertaining than what I've got to get back to, but I'm sure that everyone's going to enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you so much for your time, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Faye. Thanks again
All
for
right.
having me, and yeah, hope to chat to you again soon.
Awesome. All the best.